Welcome back to Rich Bitch Era. Today I was going to do a solo episode, and the beautiful Kristie X Ord has offered to help to bring out more in this conversation. It's often a little bit awkward talking to myself on podcast episodes, so I'm so grateful that she's here with me and is going to help to talk through some rites of passage that I feel everyone has in the online space and some of the behind the scenes things that happen when you actually do get to your goal and it's not necessarily what you thought it would be, or it doesn't feel like you thought it would feel, or you decide that actually it's not really what you wanted as well. So we'll talk through them, and then also how to actually build really authentically on Instagram. How do you build your following to a space where it's quality? And we would all love quantity, but quantity doesn't always mean sales. So the quality of people that are actually your ideal person on Instagram.
Thanks for having me, Jess. It's so wonderful to host you on your podcast. I love it. This is the best. So, today is really about getting to know you more, right? So your listeners, etc., can really understand some of the key pieces to your story and how you built what you've built. And one of the key elements is often when women are in corporate careers, etc., there's these really epic transferable skill sets. And you had a really successful corporate career and then you left. Talk us through, why did you actually leave such a successful, corporate career that you were getting paid 6 figures a year from? It was very cushy. You had all the friendships, you'd built yourself to have this identity and were known as a certain person in the industry. Why did you actually leave that? And what were the transferable skills that you took with you into business?
So I worked in public relations, which is predominantly pitching stories to media. My job was to get my clients in the media. And back then it was there was online and social media, but it was also TV, breakfast shows, newspapers, magazines, any publicity. And we had certain KPIs we had to meet to get them a certain amount of publicity. And it was measured against what they would have had to spend in advertising to get the same eyeballs on their offer, right? So, which is the same as the business world, how many eyeballs on your offer. So I would get my clients a certain amount of publicity and they would be happy. That's their campaign done. Obviously, those skill sets are quite transferable because it's marketing, but more than anything it was the KPIs and the data and the numbers that I know you're a big fan of as well, and actually going, okay, well, how has that made a difference to their bottom line as a business? How many product sales have they made because they've done this campaign, and what does the public now see that brand as now that they've done that campaign as well? So that was really amazing. I also, as I sort of, got more senior within the agencies that I worked in, became more and more, it became more of my responsibility to bring business into the agency. So I was networking with other people in different companies. I worked a lot in FMCG, so that's Nestle, Procter & Gamble, those sorts of companies, and going to women's breakfasts and whatnot to network with people and bring clients into our agency. So, I can't even remember what I was at, some food dinner that I'd actually just won a place at this dinner that I went to with Vic many, many, many years ago. And I was sat next to the marketing manager of a food brand down in Tasmania. And we just got on a house on fire. We had a great night, genuinely got along really well. And then she became a client. And when and then I ran that account at the agency that I was at. And when I left, she left the agency. And it was a real eye-opener to me. And, I'd seen, everyone knows this in business and I'd seen it before, but it really drove this message home that relationships are everything. Relationships are so important in business. And my clients, the clients that I worked on, honestly, I can say this now because I'm not working anymore, so there's no repercussions on this, but I was more loyal to my clients than I was the agency. The reason I worked so freaking hard was because I wanted to make my clients really proud. I was so invested in their success that I was and one of the clients I worked on, Blackmore's, I absolutely loved my clients. Like they were good friends of mine. I wanted to do them proud. I wanted to do a really good job. I would have bent over backwards and done anything for them because I was really invested in them. And therefore they trusted me because they could see that, right? Like they could see that I was like all in, like little invested in that. At the same, so again, like relationships, right? Relationship building in any business is so, so, so important. It also works the same way with journalists. So if I was going to pitch an exclusive story to a journalist, they knew that I wasn't just saying it was exclusive and then like going over and offering it to someone else. Like if I was offering it to them exclusively, it was their exclusive like shot at this story. I also, just built a lot of relationships with journalists over the years and media, and sometimes I'd be like, can you do me a really big favor? Like, can you run this story? Or like, is there anything in this with you? Like, what do you need? Like, I will, or also I'd be like, these are the angles. I will write the story for you. I will interview them. I will give you everything. I'll give you videos, photos, whatever you need. If this angle fits for you, right? And so like because it's always like what's in it for the other person, right? So I'd be like, well, what's in it for them is they get this great story. It's one that's really interesting for the audience. It drives traffic to them because at the end of the day, all online media is about traffic. Like if it's not clickbait at the end of the day, then there's no point in them running the story. They don't actually care about the news or the story. They care about the clickbait and the traffic. So it taught me what's in it for them and how to make sure that you are putting whoever you're pitching to, whether it's in business or, whether it's a business opportunity, whatever it is, what's in it for them. Of course, I have a KPI to meet, but I'm not going to meet it if I make it about me. It needs to be like, how can I give them so much value that it's hard for them to say no to? So that worked the same with the clients as it did with the media. And then also everything is like a people game, like we spoke about this in your podcast as well, like, managing people. And as I got more successful and sort of worked my way up in the ranks in the agency, I was managing a team and doing performance reviews and that sort of thing, and genuinely caring about my team, genuinely wanting to help them get promotions and help them get better at their skill set and like work their way up the corporate ladder as well. And I was very driven in my career. I was an account director at 25 years old. Like, I most people in the industry much longer than what I was before I was at that level of in an agency. So I really loved the people side, which also transfers to network marketing really well, and also any online business or any business really where you're managing people and wanting them to also succeed is actually genuinely wanting them to, genuinely caring and genuinely getting like a hit from seeing other people win rather than competition, which honestly is one of the hardest things about the professional world is everyone's competition. At the end of the day, like, there was only a certain amount of people that were account directors that could be promoted to senior account. Like if you were account manager, the next level was senior account manager, and then the next level was account director. And there's only a certain amount of those promotions that can happen each year. So as much as everyone was friends in the agency, there also was a little bit of competition because not everyone could get those promotions, and it did also rely on how much the business was doing, like how well the business was doing to see how many people could be promoted. So there's a lot about that whole season that I really loved, and there was a lot of skills that are not only transferable from my career, but I truly believe whatever career you've had, if you really look at what you've done in that, whether it's time management, people management, resilience, like being in a high pressure situation, like I was under so much pressure all the time in my career. Like there was a time where I had 3 meals a day in the agency. Like we would have breakfast, lunch and dinner when I was more junior.
Wow.
Like I did 12-hour days for many years. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, there are always transferable skills that you can bring over to this business. So they were some of mine, but I do believe like it doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you really sit back and look at what you had to do to be successful, I can almost guarantee you could bring them into this business.
It's so true because I think like people get into, they get into these jobs and then they might want to start a business, but they don't feel like they have the skill set. And as you said, it's like every single person that has had a job has learned key skill sets that can actually be applied in your own business. Do you feel like that's a big reason why people hold themselves back from starting a business because they don't feel like they have those transferable skills?
Yeah, definitely. I think the skill set, people have a fear of failure. It's like they can see something to be so good for other people, but they somehow think they're the exception, right? Like, oh, well, they can, but I can't. And at the end of the day, it always comes down to having a growth mindset and knowing that you can grow any set of skills. If you really actually want to and you have the determination and the drive there. And so I didn't know what I was doing in PR, but it's like any career. Like you get in and you just get your hands dirty and you just learn. And that's what I did. And it's what I did in network marketing and in my business as well, like high ticket sales, never done high ticket sales before. And I got in and I just learnt the ropes. So there's transferable skills and there's also having a growth mindset to be like, I'm going to use the assets that I have and I'm also just really coachable and willing to learn what I need to learn to get to where I want to go.
Yes, I love that. And be willing to be a student again, right? Because when we get 100%. To like this point in our corporate role, we're like, well, I'm not the student anymore. And then you go into business, you're like, well, you've got to be the student and bring over your skills and be willing to grow and learn new skills. So you basically shared that, you were in this corporate role, making six figures. It's a very cliquey industry. You had lots of friends. You had the success. You were very well known in the industry, loved your clients. That's a big ballsy move to leave a corporate career like that. Like I think most people talk themselves out of even leaving their job because they're comfortable. They've gotten to a certain point of like they're used to being that identity, that version of themselves. And if we leave something like that, I imagine that it would be a really big identity shift, almost like an ego death. Like talk us through what happened when you actually left and how did your life change? For the positive, but also the pieces that were there around like leaving all these friends behind, leaving this corporate career that you'd built behind. Like what was going on for you at that point?
It was really big leaving. Like I look back on that time and I actually don't really look back fondly and go, oh, that was so amazing replacing my income. I actually look back and go, that was really hard. It was really hard to step away from that, even though it's what I wanted. And I'm so happy I did. But the reason it was hard is, there's a few reasons. I knew fairly early on in my career that I wanted a different path. And that in itself is really hard when you're around people day in, day out who are just happy to work like 60-hour weeks for the rest of their life until they retire. Like I was the odd one out. I didn't really talk to that many people that I worked with who I was really close with about, I kind of felt like I lived this second life, this secret life, because I didn't talk to many people about the fact that I actually had a side hustle and I was trying to replace my income. And that happened early in my career. Like early in my career, I found the network marketing industry and I was with a company for 5 years trying to replace my income and was unsuccessful in doing so. I was successful in learning skills and having a little bit of success, but there was no year that I earned more than about $24,000 or $25,000. So it was nowhere near replacing my income. But I was learning a lot along the way and I had the vision. Like I saw that I was very anti-network marketing at first, to be completely real. I saw it done in a pretty icky way. And then I realized that there was another way to do it. And I also saw many young people traveling, earning location free. I started to understand the concept of passive income whilst I was working a job that I was having 3 meals at a day. Like whilst I was working this job that was, straight out of uni and I was good at it and I enjoyed and I, was very driven at it. I still was driving my career at the same time. But I started to have this like light bulb moment where I was like, oh, I don't actually have to do this forever. And straight out of uni, my goal was actually to one day own my agency, like start my own PR agency, own it, like be a founder. Like that was my goal. I was like, I'm going to have this career. I'm going to learn everything I can. And like in 10, 15 years time, I want to be the one running the agency. And one of the biggest light bulb moments for me was seeing my general manager at my very first job. I had interned there and then I ended up working there and I loved it. However, I saw my general manager be the last one to leave every night and she was a mum of 3. And it really blew my mind. I was like, but you're running the place. Like, how are you the last one here? Like, I'm the most junior. It's kind of, I was happy to work those because when you're junior, you're just like learning the ropes, right? So I would be happy to work the hours, but it always blew my mind that she was there as well because I'm like, but you're not the most junior. You're the most senior. You should be going home first because you've got a team, And I kind of just residually saw the stress and the the pressure that she was under. And I thought, oh my God, like that's what I thought I wanted. I thought I wanted that job. And the more I see of her, the less I actually want her life. And I always knew that I wanted kids. I always knew that I wanted to be a young mum. I didn't want to wait either. Like I wanted to grow up with my kids and be, you know, not too big of an age gap. So when I started to see that, I was like, oh, wow, it's actually not what I want at all. And at the same time, I saw this industry. So whilst it wasn't an industry that I ever thought I would be in, I'm so grateful that I was open-minded enough to see that there is a way that really aligns with me to build in this industry. And it's been absolutely life-changing for me and so many others like yourself and so many other women, you know, that especially because I came from an industry where not everyone has an even playing field in the corporate world. It's like it does really rely on someone else making the decision of how much you get paid, someone else making the decision of when you get promoted and what you get promoted to. There's so many factors that are outside of your control that I started to, I guess, get a little bit rebellious and cocky in that I was like, stuff this. Like, this is actually not for me. I hate that it's like this. And the longer I stayed in a role like that, the more disheartened I felt by the whole professional world, because I just felt like it was a little bit unfair that you could be really good at your job but not necessarily be compensated for it. So then how much should you actually show up at work and really put in your all when you're going to get paid the same whether you do a good job or a shit job? You know, and I'm like, well, if you're doing a really good job, you should actually get paid for that. And that's just not how it works. So yeah, there was a lot that happened in that time, and a lot that then had to kind of die with the ego death. So I left at the height of my career. Like, I was an account director, height of my career. I'd worked really hard to get there. I, had done like a degree that took me 4 years. I'd been in the industry for 10 years. I was like finally earning good money, and I left. And so it was very hard. I remember leaving. It was like the end of June 2019 was the last day of working for me. So that was, you know, like 6 years ago. And I remember just like for months after being like, I wonder what they're saying. Like, I wonder if they just think I'm like completely mad. Do they think that I've just like chucked in this career? And like really going down spirals of being like, I wonder what people think of me, you know, for doing that. Not just colleagues that I'd just worked with, but previous colleagues and, you know, people just within the industry that knew me. And at the end of the day, I was like, but there's absolutely no part of me that ever wants to go back. Like, I knew that it was a chapter that was fully closed forever, and there was no part of me that ever wanted to work for anyone really ever again. So I knew I'd made the right decision, but at the same time, I guess I'm sharing this because even though you know you've made the right decision and you back yourself, it doesn't mean that it's comfortable. It doesn't mean that you don't have to like fully close a chapter that's really comfortable. It was really comfortable for me to have a title. It was really comfortable for me to be successful because I'd worked really hard to get there. So to start from scratch at something where I wasn't known, I didn't have a title, I didn't have the success, that also really bruised my ego because I was like, well, I'm literally starting from zero. I've like left my job. I'm starting from zero. I've obviously built it to replace my income at that point when I left, but I still wasn't that successful. Like, I was just successful enough to pay the bills, you know? So yeah, there was a big part of me that worried about colleagues, also family. Like, my family didn't say anything, but I kind of felt it from some of them that they were like, oh, a bit worried about me, that like I'd left this like, you know, amazing job and this amazing career. And yeah, you just kind of, you go through these waves of, wow, I really just actually walked away from that. Like, I really closed the door for good on that whole chapter of my life that I will never get to even walk back into, because the industry works so, moves and changes so quickly that even if I wanted to, I wouldn't get a job back in there anyway, because I would have been out for just simply too long.
Yeah, wow.
So it was
what
big.
a journey. What a journey. So you had this incredible job, right? You had all these incredible skill sets you'd learned and, you know, had this epic paying career. You left that, you had the ego death, and then you went all in with your online business. And, you know, you actually ended up creating this incredible business that, you know, replaced your income, became the most positive step that you took, even though it took a lot of courage to leave the job and actually go all in on a business. but you actually built that business mostly organically on Instagram. So talk us through like, you know, even bringing in some of the skill set pieces and, you know, like how did you grow that? Like, you know, we've been talking about it's quality versus quantity. You know, some people have got these huge Instagram accounts of hundreds of thousands, but are they actually getting sales? Are they actually getting quality leads from that? So talk us through like how you actually did that with your Instagram.
I had a post go viral earlier this year and it got like hundreds of thousands of views, I think close to 1 million views, and it was a call to action post for our business. And I got hundreds and hundreds of leads and not a single one converted because they were the wrong kind of leads. So when I say like quality really matters, it really matters. Like it really, really matters because otherwise people are just after a quick fix. There's so many people that are just like after a quick fix and that's not what we offer here and it's not what I am about. So if you have a large following, usually what I find is if it's not the right quality following, if they're not there because they want what you're offering, then it's going to be the quick fix people that don't convert anyway. So the following that I have built over the years, it isn't that big. I'm just shy of 10,000 people, but they're real people. Like there's a person behind every single account. And I started with, I think, 700 or 800 followers. So I didn't start with that. It's built over the years. And I think, you know, my tips are probably what people have heard before, but they really are the boring chop water, carry wood tips that people need to do on social media, which is be consistent, show up. Like I show up and I share, even when I don't want to. I just show up and I share what's on my heart, what value I have to give. I repurpose content if I don't have anything to say. Like I'll say what I know has been, you know, successful and valuable before. I show up in my stories. And I'm real. Like I don't pretend to be someone different online than what I am behind the scenes. And I've had that comment a few times of like people have met me at events and stuff and they're like, oh, you're so the same person. I'm like, yeah, because you should be that person on your Instagram. If you're trying to be someone that you're not, or you're trying to look more successful than you are, or you're trying to look like you have a lifestyle that you don't have, it's going to come through in your energy. You're not going to feel like that's often where imposter syndrome comes from. It's actually, hate to say it, but it's kind of valid. Like people have imposter syndrome because they're trying to be someone that they're not. And so show up as you are and share your journey. I didn't hide that when I started my business, I had no results. I didn't try and pretend that I had results. I was sharing that I was starting from the beginning and I had no shame in that. I was like, you know, I was very excited about my first sale and I shared about that, but it was my first sale and I said that it was my first sale. So I shared the journey of like what I was learning, how excited I was about the education, which honestly, like I was almost more excited about that than I was the money. Because I was like, finally, I get to learn the skill set that I've been looking for on how to be successful in the online space and how to build a personal brand. So I genuinely showed up and shared from that space on my Instagram and on my Facebook. And I was social on social media. Like I actually genuinely found the type of people that I wanted to work with. And again, back to relationships, I built relationships. Like I supported them and their content. I had conversations with them. Like I genuinely built connections with the type of people I wanted to work with, which wasn't really just any man and his dog. It was a certain specific type of woman who either had been in network marketing or been in the professional sort of business, like corporate 9-to-5 world, because that's who I was. That was my experience. So I didn't try and, you know, market to someone that I didn't really know what their life looked like. I really marketed and tried to connect with people who I actually knew what their life would look like. And then I think this is really key. I didn't nail this at the beginning, but I think I've nailed it over the years of being more specific in my bio and not having a vanilla bio. I see so many people have the same bio and I'm like, what sets you apart? Why would I follow you? Like, how are you different to the hundreds of other people doing the same thing? Like, do you actually talk like that or would you say something different? You know, like what actually sets you apart from other people offering the same? And that's where your personal brand comes in. Like, what is your personal flavor? What's your personal tweak on things? And so I like being a bit sassy. I like being a bit inappropriate sometimes. I like showing up as just who I am because people remember that. And that's why when they're sitting across from me, like actually meeting me, they're like, oh, you are a bit like, you say a few things that are a bit out there. I'm like, yeah, because that's who I am. And I'm not going to filter that. And that's the great thing about being online and working for yourself is like, you don't have a boss who might potentially, have something to say about how you show up online. You get that freedom of just being able to show up as you are. So I think that the thing that often we have to dull down in a job or dull down in normal circumstances needs to be dialed up in your social media and in your content and the way that you show up in your personal brand. That is the thing that sets you apart.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that will make you really magnetic. So they are the things that I've done over the years that are more organic. I've also, if you don't have a lot of ad spend, I think this is the best hack for you. Doing boosted posts, which you have to do off a laptop, not from a phone, because if you do it from a phone, you pay the Apple iPhone tax, like you pay to Apple part of your ad spend. But if you do it off a laptop, doing some boosted posts to your profile. So that means the boosted post will have a call to action to go to your profile, and then you'll get people that choose to follow you from there. So if they see your profile, they see the first 9 posts on your profile and they choose to follow you, then you know that you genuinely are the person for them. Like if they are not the people for you, if you're not the person for them, then they won't choose to follow you. So that's been a really good way to get to build my following as well. And then collaborating with different people. I collaborate on Reels when I do my podcast and I get my name out there. I do posts and content that is truly valuable so that people share it. It's a two-way street, and being social on social media also means feeding the people that you already have in your restaurant. So many people want this large following, but I'm like, but what about the people that have chosen to be there? What about the people that have chosen to follow you? Even if you have 200 followers, if you were standing up in a room in front of 200 people, you would probably be shit scared. It's a lot of people to talk in front of, right? So don't discount the people that have already chosen to be there and follow you, because they have made that conscious decision. If they didn't want to hear from you and if they didn't think that you had value, then they wouldn't still be following you. So also don't just have the intention of building your following and going viral and having thousands and thousands of followers. Think about the people that have already chosen to be there and how you can serve them and what value they have as well. Because I think if you lose sight of that, you're not going to get more followers anyway, because you're not giving people a reason to follow you if you don't have that value there.
I love that. I love that analogy of the restaurant. That's really cool, because it's it doesn't matter if you've got 10,000 followers or you've got 200. Those 200 have chosen to be there for a reason. That's still where you get to start. And we've all started there. We all literally started our account with 0.
Yeah.
So I love that and all those amazing tips. And I love what you said about you do just get to be yourself and we get to be paid to be ourselves. That's what's so cool about business is we literally get to be ourselves, show up in our full expression and be paid for that. So you've done such an amazing job at that. You've been such a permission slip for women to you're just fun, and you got, we call you Jay-Z, you've got the Jay-Z factor, you just are you, and as you said, it's you are the same person in real life that you are on your brand. You built this incredible, following of people that are quality, that actually want to be there, actually want to hear from you and your value and what you actually have to share. So talk us through, obviously you created this incredible successful network marketing business, and then you actually decided to add on another business as well with, I guess, your skill sets, because you became a great mentor, you had amazing skill sets that you could pass on to other people. So you decided to step into doing some coaching. Talk us through that journey. And I know you ended up closing the doors on that and really then just solely going all in on network marketing. So talk us through why you started the coaching, why you finished the coaching and then decided, no, actually that's not the path I want to take, and I'm very clear I want to take this path in network marketing.
Yeah, it's funny. The door opened to me and the opportunity was there to go in on a coaching business and be one of the main coaches. And most of the clients were, or I would say 95% of the clients were in the business that we're in and in the same company. So I was like, this is great, because I really believe in it. And I know how to build this business because I literally am building it and have built it to a very successful point at that point. So it's not that it didn't feel good. I loved how I was coaching and who I was coaching because I believed in their business model. It was hard to coach people where I didn't really believe in their business model. However, coaching is a very linear model of being paid. And I also ruffled some feathers with a post that I did on this recently on the fact that you pay for a coach and you are with them for a certain period of time. And how far does their vested interest really go? Because if I paid you $10,000 to work with you, and then that $10,000 turned into multiple millions in my business, but you have no cut of that, no share of that. You don't have any, again, it's like kind of back to the PR example where how much do you over deliver? Like you're only getting paid for a certain service. So how incentivized are you really to actually over deliver for that person? So in the coaching space, I was like, I helped people get really epic results and I was not getting much of a cut of that at all. And whereas like in my business, in my network marketing business, it's high ticket. So the closer you are to the sale, the more you earn, up to $3,000. And then the further away from the sale, the less you earn, like say $40, right? Which is fair because the person making the sale is doing all the work. Presumably, the closer you are to the sale, the more you've had an influence on that sale even happening in the first place, right? So for some of my newbies, the sale literally wouldn't happen if I wasn't doing the call and helping to close it or mentoring them very closely. So it feels really fair that I get paid a higher portion when those sales are made versus when leaders who are very, very, very successful and experienced and well-established in my team make a sale. So that model versus coaching where the coach is not really incentivized to like support that person outside of the coaching period. But also I think from the coach's perspective, how fair is it if they've given you the whole IP, everything they know from decades of experience, and they've helped you as the client to get insane results and they've only been paid a one-off fee? I actually don't really feel like that's a fair exchange of energy. And I'm saying that having paid coaches, and I actually offered a coach recently. I paid her for a container and I said to her, I actually feel like I would like to offer you a success fee based on the volume of sales that happen in my business from working with you, because it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like I've paid you enough. Knowing that you actually can get me the results that I'm after for my whole team, I would love to actually offer you a success fee and we can do the reports and run the reports of my volume and then look at what it is in 6 months' time and pay you based on that. Because for me, I'm like, that gives her more skin in the game. She has way more incentive than just being paid a one-off success fee to actually help me win. And also, again, it's like the years and years and years and years and years of experience. That's what you're paying someone for. You are not just paying them for a certain period of time. You're also paying them for the blood, sweat, and tears that they've put into learning a skill set that you have not had to do. So I'm a big fan of paying coaches and working with coaches. But when I was coaching myself, I was like, wow, like I literally am just helping this person for 3 months or 6 months. I genuinely want to help them forever. I feel bad that they only get access to me for 3 or 6 months because, I mean, there are people that I've worked with in the past and I still check in on them because I genuinely care and I loved seeing their journey, but I don't get paid for that. And I also have been on the other end where I've worked with a coach for 6, 12 months and then you literally are dropped and you never hear from them again. And that's fair. You've only paid for a certain amount of time with them. So I get that and it's fair. It just has never really felt like the business model of coaching really makes sense. Like there's kind of not an incentivized business model there that feels really genuine and authentic. Like I'm paying you because you're getting me results, or I'm paying you for a certain period and we'll get results for that period and then we can continue. Like, and this is also what I came from with PR. Like we would sell someone a campaign, but then they had the option of staying on a retainer and we had to get the results for them, or they would cancel their retainer. It's like that felt like more genuine because they knew they were paying and if they weren't getting the results, they could kind of quit. Whereas like coaching isn't like that. It's like you don't know if you're going to get the results. And the coach doesn't know if you're going to get like 10x the results that they are promising, and they don't actually get anything from giving you everything, especially a lot of coaches really over deliver, give so much, do get results, and don't actually really get compensated long term from the success that they've helped to build.
Yeah. And it's so important to have those leverage models so that you can do that, right? And I'm the same. I mean, I dabbled in coaching, but I was the same. I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't have any equity in what I'm actually helping them to achieve. And sometimes it takes longer than 3 months to help people get results.
Yeah.
Because they've got to move through certain things. You've got to put the systems in place. And then you kind of end a coaching container and you're like, we're only just getting started.
Yeah.
Whereas in a business model like ours, like we are so heavily invested into making sure that person becomes successful.
Yeah.
And there is that leverage. And, you know, any one person that comes into this business model can end up being an extra 50, 100, 200, 300K up to like $1 million plus in extra revenue for us based on the work that we have done to support them.
Yeah.
Which is incredible because then they know that we're actually in it to help them win. It's like they can't win if we can't win if they don't win. So both are in to win together. So I love all of that. That was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hide that I'm incentivized to help people make money.
Totally.
I get paid. Like I say this on sales calls. I'm like, because often it comes up the question of like, how much support do I get? All of the things. And I'm like, you need to understand we get paid when you make sales. We get like my passive income comes from my like helping my whole team win. If I don't, I'm not earning that whole stream of income that I could be earning. I'll still be earning money because I make my own sales as well. But, you know, that's the whole point is like to help you make the sale. You'll get paid more than me and you'll get paid first and you'll always earn more for your sales than anyone else. But that is the whole point is to come into a business knowing that the person above you is incentivized to help you win. Like they will always, for the rest of your life together, be incentivized to support you. So there's no timeline on it. That's what feels so good and genuine to me is like if someone came to me today, they know that I am always going to be incentivized to support them, not just a 6-month coaching container or 12 months or whatever. It's like there is no expiry date on that, which feels really fair and really good for me. Because like you say, like people go through different seasons and maybe they love what they learnt, but they weren't really ready to implement it or like all sorts of things happen in life. So yeah, it is so much more of a leveraged model. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I love all of this. I mean, like leverage literally is the most sexiest thing in business. And I think more and more people are waking up to linear models are just like if you truly want freedom, like linear models are not going to actually get you there. You might have this beautiful heart-centered approach to wanting to impact people and serve and all of that. But at the end of the day, if there's not the residual, if there's not the passive, if you can't actually create true freedom where you had a clear calendar and a full bank account from that model within a couple of years, then it's ultimately always going to be that linear approach. So yeah, I think it's really incredible that actually a lot of coaches are realizing that and are getting started in models like this because of that. You know, they love to mentor and impact, but they also really desire freedom and leverage. And they know that to get to, you know, we were talking about Robert Kiyosaki, they know that to get to that other side of the quadrant, right now they're actually self-employed. They're more self-employed, which is great. You've got a little bit more flexibility. You've got a little bit more choice, but you don't have full freedom. And the way to get to the other side of that quadrant is to make sure that whatever model you have actually does have the leverage, the passive, the residuals. So this has been so juicy, this episode. I've loved it so much and being the host of this one. I would love for you to go into now to kind of summarize things. So obviously you did the coaching, realized what a linear model it was, realized the importance of having equity in people's business to actually have this win-win model. And that's really the new era of business for sure. And then you kind of like, you were like, okay, no, I want to stop that because the leverage makes sense and I actually prefer it over here. And then you went all in on that. Why do you feel like it's important to kind of build one thing, build it well? Because I think that a lot of people have this idea of like, well, millionaires have 7 different types of income streams. So I better go and have 7 different income streams. And then they're literally marketing like this thing and then that thing and this thing and that thing. And they actually end up confusing their audience. Why do you think it's important, especially in these building stages of like building your brand, getting trust, building authority, building know, like, love, and trust? Why is it important just to focus on one thing, do it really well, become well known for that, and then go and build and take that money that you receive and then go and invest into other things?
Yeah. ultimately it comes down to how quickly do you want to get to the highest level of success in a business?
Yeah.
Because the more you dilute your time and energy between different businesses or different ventures, the slower they're going to grow. And I know that we have a lot of multi-passionate people who love doing multiple different things, but that only makes sense if they are actually complementary and those businesses or those opportunities are going to actually feed each other. If they don't, it actually is like if you picture a tap that's dripping, at a moderate tempo, it's like dripping, and each drip is going between 3 cups. It's going to take ages for any of those 3 cups to fill, versus if that drip was all just in 1 cup, it's going to fill much quicker. And that is what I realized in this business. It's like I went all in again, and I have no regrets. I actually am grateful that I did the coaching because it made me a better mentor to my team. I think I needed it to really step up and trust myself that I know what I'm talking about, and then I was a better mentor for them. However, it did take my focus away from building my actual business, my main business. So when my focus was redirected, all of my creativity, all of my ideas, all of my time, all of my energy, everything was back into one thing. And if I look back now, that's when the Wildly Empowered Collective was created. It's when we created our own discovery process. We started to really own our calls, who we were speaking to, our message, and I had momentum, of course, because I was focusing on one thing. And I think the trap that people get into, and this is I'm vulnerably sharing, my business was in a stagnant space when I started coaching, and I knew that I could get other people results, but I was feeling a bit stagnant. I just had my second child. I was feeling a bit fat and frumpy and blah, and I came back. I was tired. I was my baby wasn't sleeping. This is my second. And about 6 months in, and I hadn't had sales. I wasn't really making consistent sales. I was feeling a bit do I know what I'm doing? All of the things. I was having this bit of a wobble in my own belief in myself. But of course, I was helping other people have results, right? Because often we can help other people, but we're the last person that we can actually help ourselves. So at the time when the opportunity came up, I was well, I actually know that I can help other people. I'm just not really that good at doing this myself at the moment, but I know I can help other people. And I did. I had great success in helping other people, but it's actually not where my energy and time should have been at that time. So when I then went back to focusing on one thing, I had my mojo back. I was firing, my team were firing, and I led from a different space. I led from so much more confidence, so much more conviction and stability and everything. And I think people felt that. And that's why I also had momentum, because I was all in again. I think people have different seasons in their life, and I've been doing this for 7 years. So it's natural to have seasons. And yeah, the all in energy was felt. We had so much momentum. And from there, I can't really bring myself to do anything else, because I know how much there is in terms of money and impact to be made in this business. It's quite frankly not worth my time doing other things. I look at other things and I'm it's not even worth my time to even look at that. There is just so much more to be made, especially with high ticket. It's when you're earning $3,000 to $7,000 per sale. Show me something that beats that, and then the passive that comes along with that as well. So I do sell the odd low ticket offer, but it's because I'm building relationships with people. I'm showing they get to see my world. They get to get a huge amount of value from me for such a low price, my low ticket courses and whatnot, that they get to come into my world, build rapport with me. And the intention, very honestly, is still to upsell them to this business. But doing it in a way where they've got a ton of value, they understand who I am and what I can offer them, and they get to see the behind the scenes of what it would look like to be mentored directly from me. So I don't sell low ticket to actually build a income from it, because I the amount of low tickets I'd have to sell to equate to one sale in this business is ridiculous. It's $750, $100 offers to just equate to one sale in this business. So it's not that it's worth my time, it's that it's worth, serving an audience that I want to connect with, and then also serving a community that I really I'd, want to serve. So a lot of people are doing the same business, and when they buy it, I'm like, well, it actually feels really good that someone is going to benefit from it that I'm not going to sell to or upsell to, but they actually probably need to hear the same thing taught in a different way, and they're going to get so much value from it, like way more value than what they've paid for that particular thing too. So it feels good in both respects, but it's certainly not my bread and butter, and it's definitely not what I would recommend building unless it complements the main business you're trying to build. So for me, it complements it because it's bringing in people who then end up wanting to join my business. So of course it's directly building my actual main business.
Totally. And that's smart because most businesses are going to have like a, an ascension funnel of like the low ticket and then the high ticket and all that, but it's all linked, right? The whole point is that the low ticket gets to the high ticket. So it's actually very strategic, but I love what you said around like, unless it's not linked, there's really no point because it just becomes a massive distraction, and then your energy and your time is completely split. And I've realized that as well. Like, I started a superfood cacao company, total distraction, poured hundreds of thousands of dollars into it over a couple of years, barely got into profit, was a massive waste of time, even though it was creating impact and people loved it. I was like, what am I doing? I literally have like the most incredible high ticket leverage model that creates full financial freedom. Why would I waste any longer trying to sell this $49 product that's taking me away from the very thing that's getting me closer and closer to freedom? So yeah, this has been so awesome and love all of these pieces. Thank you so much for having me today on your podcast. On your podcast. I love it. I actually was, as soon as you released this podcast, I listened to the first episode and I was like, I love it. And I've been a fan ever since. So it's really cool to be here today and get to ask you these questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you for asking them too, because it's much less awkward to talk than talking to myself.
No awkward vibes.
Thank you. And if you do want to learn more about growing your Instagram organically, I do have a 7-day course called Magnetize, and it is directly focused at building your Instagram following and also your engagement with people who are your ideal people. So not necessarily people that are in your team or in your company or, that are there to be cheerleaders, which we love and is awesome, but actually being seen and building a following from the people who are your ideal teamies, your ideal business partners. So that is called Magnetize. I'll drop the link in the show notes if you would like access to it. There's also access to my school community called Rich Bitch Academy. So you get access to that as well, where there's all sorts of freebies in there too. And if you loved anything in this episode, we would love to hear it. So feel free to share it to your stories, shoot me a message, shoot the Rich Bitch Era Instagram a message if there's any questions you have to do with money or business that you would like on the podcast in an episode, or if there's anything that really stood out to you, we'd love to hear it. Message myself or message Kristie. So thank you so much for joining, and we will see you in the next episode.